Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're going to be diving into the world of VARUN Beverages Limited.
Oh, yeah.
You know those guys who bottle and distribute all those PepsiCo drinks you love? You sit over a ton of stuff on them, earnings calls, investor presentations, like their entire financial playbook.
Yeah.
So it's clear you want to know, can VARUN Beverages keep this incredible growth streak going? Are they really on track to dominate the global beverage market?
Right. It's the million-dollar question everyone's asking.
Exactly. So let's find out together.
Let's crack it open.
Love that. Okay, so first clue. VARUN Beverages just dropped their Q3 2024 results.
Okay.
And even with some seriously crazy unseasonal rains messing with their peak season in India, they still saw a 21.9% jump in sales volume.
Wow. That's really impressive, especially considering those conditions.
I know, right? A big chunk of that increase, like 34 million cases, comes from their recent acquisitions.
Oh, right. Bevco in South Africa and that brand new facility in the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Exactly. That's a huge expansion move. They're clearly seeing massive growth potential in those markets.
It really seems like they are.
And hold on a sec. Their plant in the DRC that was just finished, a few months ago?
Yeah.
It's already running at full capacity.
I know. It's incredible.
That's moving at lightning speed. They're even planning to double its size next year.
Wow.
They've clearly tapped into a thirsty market there.
It seems like it. This rapid expansion in the DRC definitely suggests that VARUN Beverages has found a really strong and possibly untapped market there.
Yeah. And they've already seen success in other African markets like Zimbabwe and Zambia.
Right.
But South Africa is a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
It's a much bigger and more established market with way more competition.
Oh, yeah.
But from what I'm seeing in these earnings call transcripts, they're not shying away from the challenge at all.
Yeah. What's their plan of attack?
Well, first, they're laser focused on boosting the market share of those big PepsiCo brands within Bevco's existing portfolio.
Smart move. Those brands command higher prices and better margins.
Exactly. It's all about leverage. They're using the existing infrastructure and relationships while tapping into that premium segment of the market.
Makes sense.
And their second strategy is replicating the backward integration model they've perfected in India.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah, which could mean big cost savings and better margins in South Africa down the road.
It's all about efficiency.
Exactly. But let's rewind for a second back to their February earnings call.
Okay.
That's when they dropped two bombshells.
Oh, yeah.
First, the acquisition of Bevco, and second, their plan to step into the snacks market in Africa.
Wow. Bold moves.
Right. And this was right after a stellar 2023.
Didn't they report like 21-point-something% revenue growth?
21.8% revenue growth and a whopping 35.6% growth in passive.
What's again?
Profit after tax.
Yeah.
Basically their net profit.
Got it.
And all this, despite those crazy rains messing with their peak selling season,
Yeah.
shows their serious appetite for investment and growth.
For sure.
Okay, so snacks. They're starting with a Cheetos partnership in Morocco, but they're definitely looking at other countries too.
Interesting. Could this be their next big success story? Could they actually become a major player in the global snacks market, just like they are with beverages?
It's a good question. They've got a knack for entering new markets and scaling up their operations crazy fast.
Yeah, that's true.
Plus, the distribution network in Africa is already huge, and they're great at adapting their products to local tastes.
But don't forget, the snacks market is a different beast. They'll be up against giants like Mondelez and even PepsiCo's own Frito-Lay.
True.
How they set themselves apart and carve out their own space is going to be really interesting to see.
For sure. And speaking of competition, remember when Campa-Cola made a comeback in India?
Oh, yeah.
The transcripts are full of analysts grilling VARUN Beverages about the potential impact.
Right.
But they seem totally unfazed.
Really?
Yeah. They emphasize the huge untapped potential in the Indian market.
Yeah.
And their commitment to expanding their reach even further.
So they're not backing down.
Not even a little bit. And it makes sense. They've been consistently adding tons of new outlets every year, pushing deeper into those rural markets.
Sure.
It's a long game for sure. Building a distribution network that big takes serious time and investment.
Yeah, but the payoff is a sustainable competitive advantage that's almost impossible to beat.
Exactly. And while they're building this beverage empire, they're not ignoring sustainability either.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Low sugar and no sugar drinks are now almost half of their total sales volume.
Wow.
Plus, they're lightweighting their packaging, aiming for 100% plastic waste recycling by 2025.
Impressive.
And get this, they're even talking about being water positive and hitting net zero emissions by 2050.
It's encouraging to see them taking concrete steps towards sustainability. It's what consumers want these days, and it's smart for businesses to be proactive about it.
Totally agree. And speaking of smart moves, let's not forget about their strong financials.
Right.
Even with all these investments, they've kept healthy debt to equity and debt to EBITDA ratios.
So they're managing their debt well.
It's exactly. Plus, they just announced plans for a massive RS 7,500 crore fundraise, mostly through a QIP,
What's a QIT again?
a qualified institutional placement.
Right.
It looks like they're gearing up for even more growth.
Definitely a sign of things to come.
So far, all the clues point to a bright future for VARUN Beverages.
Agreed.
But before we jump to any conclusions, let's take a closer look at their product diversification strategy and how it might impact their future growth.
Sounds good to me. Let's dive in. We've been talking a lot about their expansion, going into snacks and all.
Yeah.
But we can't forget their core business beverages.
Right. And they've been quietly diversifying their drinks beyond just the usual sodas.
Oh, yeah.
We're seeing juices, value-added dairy sports drinks. They're really covering all the bases.
That's true. It's smart to diversify, especially with those health trends gaining momentum.
Exactly. Their focus on non-carbonated drinks in India is really interesting.
Yeah, it's a booming segment.
Consumers are definitely getting more health conscious.
Right.
And VARUN Beverages has been investing heavily to ramp up production for those types of drinks.
Oh, definitely. Like what Tropicana, their dairy brand Cream Bell sports drinks Gatorade.
You got it. They tripled their production capacity for Tropicana and boosted the capacity for value-added dairy by a crazy 200%.
Wow. That's a lot.
It's a clear sign they're going all in on these categories.
Yeah, and for good reason.
These products usually have higher margins than your typical soda, and they fit perfectly with how consumer tastes are changing.
Right.
It's a smart way to hedge their bets if the soda market slows down.
For sure.
Plus, they already have that massive distribution network in place.
That's a huge advantage.
So they can get these new products out to people quickly.
Exactly. It's a huge leg up compared to new companies trying to break in.
Absolutely. Building a network like that takes forever and a ton of money.
True.
VARUN Beverages is way ahead of the game.
And they're using it to their advantage.
It's like having a superhighway already built for your products.
Perfect analogy.
Now let's switch gears for a second and talk about their relationship with PepsiCo.
Okay.
It's a classic example of a win-win partnership.
How so?
PepsiCo brings those global brands and marketing muscle.
Hmm?
And VARUN Beverages handles all the local stuff, bottling distribution,
Yeah.
even keeping the drinks cold and all the promotions.
It's a good system.
Yeah, it's working great for both of them.
Makes sense.
VARUN Beverages gets to ride the waves of those huge brands.
Right.
And PepsiCo has a reliable partner who really knows the local markets.
It's a classic win-win.
Now let's get back to the heart of the mystery.
Okay.
Revenue guidance.
It's a big question.
Can VARUN Beverages keep this growth going?
Yeah.
Did we find any clues in those reports about their outlook for the rest of the year and beyond?
Well, they've been pretty tight-lipped about specific numbers.
Yeah.
Sticking to their usual message of double-digit growth.
I see.
But they seem very confident about the long-term potential in their markets, especially India and Africa.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, they have a lot going on right now.
Yeah.
Acquisitions, new production capacity, new product categories, and maybe even snacks.
It's a lot to juggle.
It makes sense that they wouldn't want to give out specific numbers just yet.
Too many variables, right?
Exactly. There's always some uncertainty in business.
Especially in markets like India.
Right. They're growing so fast.
And you have to factor in all those global things, too.
Like what?
Fluctuating costs of supply chain issues,
It makes predicting the future even harder.
Exactly.
So no crystal ball.
Nope.
But we can look at the data and their strategies to get a sense of where they might be headed.
Yeah, that's all we can really do.
They're putting tons of resources into growth, both organically and through acquisitions, diversifying their products, expanding their reach.
Sounds like they're playing the long game.
They are. And they have a really good track record of success.
True.
They've consistently beaten expectations in the past.
Yeah.
They may not be giving us exact numbers,
Right.
but all signs point to continued growth for VARUN Beverages.
I'd have to agree.
Okay, so big picture things look pretty good for VARUN Beverages.
This goes that way.
But what about the potential roadblocks? What risks or challenges could they face on their way to becoming a global beverage and snack powerhouse? We were just talking about how well VARUN Beverages is doing, but,
Yeah.
there are always challenges.
Of course, even the best companies face obstacles.
Right. So one of the big risks for VARUN Beverages is the rising cost of ingredients.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like sugar prices have been all over the place lately.
Roller coaster.
And the cost of PET, that plastic they use for bottles?
Yeah.
That's been volatile too.
It's not just the cost, though. It's
Uh,
also about whether they can even get the stuff.
exactly. Global supply chains are a mess,
It's the new normal, unfortunately.
and that can really impact their production if they can't get the materials they need.
Absolutely. Another thing they've mentioned in their earnings calls is the regulatory environment,
Oh, right.
especially in India.
What's happening there?
Well, the government has been pushing for stricter rules on sugar in drinks.
Makes sense.
And there's always the chance of new taxes or labeling requirements.
Ugh, bureaucracy.
It's a headache, and it can get expensive to stay compliant.
Especially when you're operating in so many different countries.
Exactly. Each one has its own rules.
It's a lot to keep track of.
But external factors aren't the only thing to worry about.
True.
VARUN Beverages needs to keep innovating too. Stay ahead of those changing consumer tastes.
The beverage market is so competitive.
It really is.
They have to keep coming up with new stuff to stay relevant.
Absolutely.
They've been doing well with the low sugar and no sugar drinks and expanding into juices and dairy, but they can't just stop there.
Right. They need to be on the lookout for the next big thing.
Like what?
Plant-based drinks, maybe?
Mhm.
Or those functional drinks everyone's talking about.
Interesting.
They need to invest in R&D to keep creating new products that people want.
So what's the takeaway for our listeners?
VARUN Beverages has huge potential, but there are definitely risks and challenges too.
Right. Their success depends on how well they handle those obstacles.
They've got a great foundation, though.
Yeah.
Strong track record, that partnership with PepsiCo, and their focus on sustainability.
Oh, good science.
But like with any investment,
Right.
do your own research, weigh the risks and rewards.
Exactly. Make informed decisions. And one last thought to leave you with.
Okay.
VARUN Beverages is really going all in on Africa.
Yeah, they are.
Could that be the key to their next level of growth? Thanks for joining us on a deep dive, and we'll see you next time for another fascinating exploration.